All right, guys, let's take a look at the fat electrician and see if we can do some reacting tonight.
I'm just going to come out and say it. The Europeans are apparently making window cheese, and you're going to have to stick around if you want to know what that means. Today
Window
we're talking about the
cheese.
most important invention of the 20th century, air conditioning. Okay, I know what you're thinking. That's a pretty big claim. We came up with a lot of important stuff in the 20th century. That is true. However, air conditioning is the most important one. I'm going to prove it, and then I'm going to relentlessly talk smack about Europeans the entire time, right after word from our sponsor. This video is brought to you by Supremacy World War III. It is a free-to-play online PvP military-based strategy game.
I wouldn't say it's
based on a World War III type scenario
most
where you
important
get to pick your country and go to war with the rest of the world. You can forge
invention
alliances,
of the
or you
21st
can just go solo
century,
and try to
20th
take over
century.
the whole thing yourself.
But
they just introduced a new shadow
it's definitely
market,
up
which is basically
there.
the black market where you do a bunch of sketchy
if you think
illegal
about
stuff
it,
under
like,
the table that's going to upset people if they find out. And I'm not
we're
exaggerating.
we're kind of spoiled
people. That's
'cause
literally a function
we have
of the
it.
game.
Okay,
if you
hold
get
on.
caught, it can actually.
I'm gonna pause this. We're kind of spoiled here, but here in the United States, it gets hot. It gets really hot compared to a lot of European countries. And something that I think a lot of Europeans don't appreciate is just how fucking hot it gets here. It was 101 Fahrenheit today. I don't know off the top of my head what that is in Celsius, but it's somewhere around 38 degrees Celsius. That's hot. And that's not even as hot as it's going to get. We're going to be in the 110 to 115 range here in a couple of weeks. And without air conditioning, tens of thousands of people in the United States would die. However, it doesn't get that hot in a lot of places. And a lot of places get hotter and they don't have AC. They have other ways of dealing with the heat, but AC is not one of them. So I'm going to respectfully disagree with Fat Electrician here. I think that it is an incredibly important thing to have if you're in the United States. I think that a lot of European countries should absolutely invest in it. But to say that it's the most important invention is a bit of a stretch. I was really close then. 38.3 is 101. Yeah, I was really close then. And that was just off the top of my head. All right, but let's see what the fat electrician has to say. I am really struggling to talk today, chat, and I don't know why. I'm getting tongue twisted over every word. All right, but let's see what he has to say. He says he's going to prove it. Let's see if he can.
Cause insurgencies, civil unrest, or damage the morale of your country.
After a quick word
be
from
updated so
his
it increases
sponsors.
the morale of the American military if they get caught.
Apollo is such a good boy. He is the goodest of good boys.
He's a pretty good dog.
So if you want to give it a try,
He's
you
hard
can
to
play with
beat.
up to 99 other people, and it's available on both PC and mobile, and it's free. So if you want to check it out, I'm going to have a link and a discount code down below. Let's get back to the video. All right, why are we even talking about air conditioning right now, okay? If you're not chronically on the internet like myself, A, good for you, but B, let me fill you in real quick. Every June or July, there's a magical time of year where the British experience a heat wave. There's newspaper articles.
Their heat wave
British
is
and
like
European people
85
getting on the internet
degrees,
talking
chat.
shit about how
That's
the
their
Americans
heat
just don't
wave.
understand a British heat wave. We couldn't possibly survive, yada, yada, yada. So then I get on there, I'm competitive, they're talking smack. It's like, okay, I mean, how hot is it
Joni,
over
welcome
there?
in,
Never
welcome
been there.
in.
Maybe it is super hot. I have no idea. So then you look into it, and all the headlines are like, the British heat wave has reached over 30 degrees Celsius for the 5th day in a row.
Yeah, all you have to do to convert is times 2, add 32, and join the rest of the human race.
Okay, my country's flag is on the moon. I have no idea what 30 degrees Celsius is, so then you got to get on Google again. You got to ask it what 30 degrees Celsius is converted into Fahrenheit, the superior way
This
of
is
measuring
what I was
temperature.
talking about,
It's
chat.
like
It's
86
not
degrees, and these people are
that
acting like they're melting. Actually, Celsius is better because it's a metric system. You know, that measurement system the entire world uses except for you guys.
I got something to say about the metric system. I'm going to piss off a lot of Americans right now. But the United States uses the metric system more than the UK does. The United States uses the metric system. But Doc, I measure length in inches. Well, inches are measured in centimeters. The official legal definition of an inch is 2.54 centimeters. So when you're measuring something in quote unquote inches, you're actually measuring it in centimeters, chat. We use the metric system here in the US. You just don't realize that you're using the metric system here in the US. And it's not just inches. It's not just inches. We measure a lot of things. Officially, weight is officially measured in grams. The conversion is insane. There's like 17 decimal points behind it. But the official definition of a pound is a pound in grams. It is not a weak argument. When you measure the weight of something, you are measuring it in grams. You're calling it pounds, but you're measuring it in grams. When you measure the length of something, you're measuring it in inches and feet, but you're actually measuring it in centimeters and meters, etc. The 10 millimeter socket has legs. It does. Oh my God. I have 4 of them. I have 4 10 millimeter sockets. I can only ever find one at a time, and it's never the same one. But I have 4 of them. Yes. The United States uses the metric system. All right. But enough of that. Let's continue with the fat electrician.
It's obviously the best, but no, it isn't. It doesn't even make sense. Okay, Fahrenheit is the easiest concept on the planet. 0 is cold, 100 is hot, based on the human experience. The end. Celsius, on the other hand, is based on the freezing and boiling point of water, which doesn't even make sense because the freezing and boiling point of water isn't a constant.
Now this I agree with.
Like 20 other this I agree with
because water freezes and boils at different temperatures depending on where you're at. So the entire Celsius temperature measurement metric is very skewed. And in theory, it's great. 0 degrees, water freezes. 100 degrees, water boils. Easy to remember. Fahrenheit, water freezes at 32 degrees, boils at 212. Less easy to remember. But at the end of the day, chances are, wherever you're at, water doesn't freeze at 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit. And it doesn't boil at 100 degrees Celsius or 212 degrees Fahrenheit. But no matter where you are, 100 degrees Fahrenheit is fucking hot. Anyway.
Altitude. Okay, when somebody asks you how hot is it outside, nobody's asking you how does a glass of water
That's what I just said.
Feel about the temperature outside. No, I'm asking you, are my balls gonna be sweaty if I go outside? Do I need to wear shorts? Do I need to bring baby powder?
I never wear shorts, chat. I never wear. I own one pair of shorts.
I don't give a fuck how water feels about it.
Oh gosh, it's just too much.
I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted. Anyways, this happens every year. The Europeans get on the internet, they complain about a heat wave, 86 degrees, they pretend like they're melting, they say the Americans don't understand, we couldn't possibly survive a British heat wave, yada yada yada. Well, this year, something amazing happened. The FIFA World Cup is in America, so a bunch of Europeans came to America and they got to experience American heat, and it became overwhelmingly obvious to them they are, in fact, just being giant pansy asses about the entire situation. At which point, the Europeans realized that they were wrong, they admitted defeat, and we all moved on. I'm just kidding. The Europeans pivoted, they moved the goalposts, and then the entire conversation became about air conditioning. Okay, I had no idea because I'm an American, and to be honest with you, I don't give a fuck about European politics, but apparently the British and the French are like morally and mentally just adamantly opposed to air conditioning. To the point that it is literally a humongous political debate over there right now, and the right wing and the left wing over in France.
And it's actually insane. I saw a post on Twitter that it simply said, imagine sacrificing 10,000 people to the sun god in 2026. And I was like, the fuck does that even mean? So I looked into the comments, which is exactly what they want you to do. I got baited hard. And they were talking about the 10,000 people in Europe who died this year because they didn't have AC. Because these European countries do not want their citizens to have AC. The only shorts I own are swim trunks. I don't even have a pair of swim
You are doing great in reacting to this video. Keep it up, Sam.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, Oscar. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, E4. I appreciate you. Ra needs his sacrifice for a good harvest. We'll see who has a better harvest. Us over here or them over there. Oh, they okay, Gore. Okay. Oh, thank you for the head pats. Thank you. Thank you. You're a PR nightmare. All right, guys, let's get back to the video.
Is literally divided on air conditioning. Air conditioning in France is right-wing technology. I'm not exaggerating. And me, with how my brain works, now I have to know the history of air conditioning. So, from the top. The first modern air conditioner was invented in 1902 by an engineer by the name of Willis Carrier, and Willis Carrier was hired by a publishing company to come in and solve a problem. The problem this publishing company had was that when they were trying to print things in summer, the heat and humidity was causing fluctuations in the paper and the printing process, giving them an inconsistent product that they weren't happy with. So he gets hired to come in and figure out a way to make their product more consistent while they're printing in summer. And his first option is, obviously, I'm just going to change the environment. I'm going to make it a constant. I'm going to get rid of the heat and the humidity so it's no longer a factor. Then we can tune the machines once and we can print away because it's always going to be.
This is actually something that I know a little bit about. And before we can continue the video, I want to give you guys a little bit of a background into my upbringing, my family. My dad has been an HVAC technician for longer than I've been alive. And my brother actually works in HVAC as well. He works more on the computer side of things with the programming and stuff like that. But my family and my granddad was a HVAC. My family's been doing HVAC for quite a while. So I have a basic idea of exactly how an air conditioning unit works, and even a basic idea of how to repair one if it breaks. So this isn't something that I don't know anything about, but it's something that I know just enough to get me in trouble. So let's see what he's got to say. I know he's going to give us kind of a history rundown, and that's going to be kind of hard to react to, but we'll just take a look and see what happens.
The same temp and the same humidity in the factory. Okay, pause. I need you to understand, as a person in 2026 that's grown up with like modern technology, this sounds obvious, like duh, just do that. But at the time in 1902, homeboy literally came out of left field and is like, clearly, I just have to change the rules of physics. I have to change the entire world around me so this works. I'm literally gonna attempt to domesticate the fucking wind so I can print books. Okay, do you understand how insane that is? That would be if like the Wright brothers, when they were trying to design an airplane, were like, fucking we'll just turn off gravity. Duh.
It's science.
But somehow this guy manages to do it, fixes the printing problem, sees the potential, patents the idea, patents the phrase air conditioning, and then he goes and creates the Carrier Air Conditioning Company, which is still around today, has like over 50,000 employees, and is worth over $20 billion. So air conditioning is like primarily used in these factory type settings. In 1914, there are some people starting to get air conditioners in their homes, but it's extremely rare. By the early 1930s, they are starting to have like commercial air conditioning units that you can put in a home, but they cost like $10,000, which in 1932,
that's a lot of money.
Today's money, it's almost like $250,000 for a window air conditioning unit. But people
that's
are
like
willing
a
to pay it
freaking
because
house.
If you got the money, not having ball sweat is priceless.
Hell yeah.
Oddly enough, you can make the argument that air conditioning is actually responsible for movies, TV, and Hollywood as a whole. Because outside of manufacturing, one of the first industries to adopt air conditioning is movie theaters, which makes so much sense because I cannot tell you how many times I've been shown like, oh, this is a silent film from 19...
Okay. This is something else that I kind of know a little bit about because without outrightly doxing myself, there is a salt mine near where I live, and in this salt mine they store a lot of old movies, old movie and when I say old movies, I mean the original films from movies like Gone with the Wind was kept there. And they kept a lot of these old movie reels, all these old silent movies and stuff like that. They've also got a lot of movie memorabilia. I think they've got Darth Vader's suit. Is that one of Darth Vader's suits? He actually had like 7 different suits that he wore on set. but they have one of them there. They've got a lot of iconic movie props and things like that, and they kept them in this salt mine because it's naturally climate controlled. You know, it's always about 60, 65 degrees in there, no matter what time of year it is. So the temperature, the humidity, all of that stuff is pretty constant. It doesn't change. So they decided that this was the best place to keep these films where they would be preserved.
Whatever the fuck, and it was so funny at the time, blah 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 blah.
You can just admit you were alive during this time period.
And 1940s because they enjoyed watching silent films. They were going because that was the only place they could go to get air conditioning and get out of the heat for 2 hours. You can actually go back and read accounts from people at the time where they're like, yeah, no, we don't go to the movie theater because we give a shit about the movie. We just go so we can go there to cool off. So in a way, it's pretty likely, or at least you could argue, that if it wasn't for air conditioning, the film industry as we know it today might not exist. Regardless, movie theaters were a lot of people's
disagree
first
with
encounter
that.
with air conditioning.
I'm going to disagree with that to an extent. I think that it would still exist. All right. First of all, movies were big before air conditioning. They were a thing before air conditioning. And it wasn't that long between this and people having air conditioning, and movies continued to thrive long after going there just to cool off would not be a valid excuse anymore. So there are lots of places that you can go to just cool off that are less expensive than the movie theater, more convenient than the movie theater, et cetera, et cetera. So to say that the movie industry wouldn't exist is probably grasping at straws a little bit.
And once they saw it, they're like, holy shit, this is awesome. I want to get it inside my house. But from here, the cost of air conditioners actually plummets because it's something that everybody can use and everybody wants. It's just like TVs. When I was a kid growing up, a flat screen TV was like $12,000. It was some absurd amount of money.
God.
And today I can go to Walmart.
Okay, so first of all, when I was a kid, flat screen TVs didn't exist. But they were starting to get very popular when I joined the Army in 2006, 2007. They were also heavier than fuck. Oh my God. So one of my buddies spent his entire enlistment bonus, five figures, on like an 86-inch flat screen TV. And this thing weighed like 300 pounds. It's probably not quite that much, but it took 4 of us to carry this motherfucker. And he spent like $12,000 on it. It was actually insane.
And buy a 70-inch flat screen TV that's better than those TVs when I was growing up for like $400. So air conditioning got incredibly cheap, incredibly fast when you compare it to pretty much anything else. And by the 1950s, they were starting to have literal experiments.
How much did he spend? It was in the $10,000 to $12,000
there were
range.
new housing developments where all these new homes had air conditioning in them, and they actually had psychologists and scientists go in, and the families that bought these homes volunteered to be studied for over a year to see the impacts of living in an air-conditioned climate in your home and how it would affect you. People had no idea what would happen. Would they go crazy? Would they not be able to handle going outside anymore? These were all huge unknowns at the time. And you want to know what the psychologists and the scientists concluded about living in air conditioning? It's pretty fucking awesome, okay? They found out that
I want to
everybody
add
slept
something,
better,
not really
and
add, but I want to comment on this a little bit. I find it interesting that before AC, it was considered improper to, and I'm speaking more about men's fashion than women's fashion because as often as I've dressed in, anyway, I don't know as much about women's fashion as I do about men's. I know that the shit that y'all wore in the 20s and 30s looks incredibly uncomfortable, but other than that, I don't really know a whole lot about it. Although I have worn a corset, and I would rather die. That being said, I find it interesting that after AC, it started becoming more socially acceptable to wear less clothes. You know, you would wear a three-piece suit as your everyday attire. You know, t-shirts and blue jeans were unheard of. That's loungewear. You wear that around the house. You don't wear that outside. You don't leave the house like that. And then, you know, we got climate control, and at about the same time, we started wearing less clothes, which may or may not be correlated, but it's still interesting. Not all corsets. The one that I have is very nice. It is a steel-boned corset. I can't remember the name of the company that made it, but it was almost $200. And yeah, I don't, obviously, I'm not shaped to wear a corset. All right, I don't have the waist or the hips or the upper torso or the boobs or any of the other stuff that I'm supposed to have to wear a corset, so it's not going to fit me properly. However, it's not going to fit you properly either. It's not supposed to. It's not meant to. It's meant to reshape your body. It is meant to form your body into a shape that it was not meant to be in. And I'm sorry, but I'd rather be dead. That shit sucks. I couldn't imagine wearing that on the regular. You know, it's not as bad as they make it out to be in like the movies. I know there was the scene in Pirates of the Caribbean where she says, well, women in London must have learned how to not breathe or something like that. And it wasn't quite that dramatic, but still incredibly uncomfortable. And I wouldn't want to wear one on the regular. Reminds me of the wasp body types they tried during the Civil War era. Organ movers. Yeah. Okay. And that's not exclusive to corsets. There are a lot of tribal practices that actually move and shift your bones as you grow and completely reform your body. And they start putting these, they're like braces. They're kind of like orthodontic braces, except they're for your skeleton. And they start putting them on these little girls when they're small children. So as they grow, it like reforms their entire skeletal system and gives them a completely different shape by the time they're an adult. And you know, obviously a lot of people have a lot of issue, but then there's the whole, you know, cultural sensitivity thing and all that. But it's actually kind of crazy. How did we get on this subject? We're talking about ACs. Anyway, back to the video.
Also found out that the housewives were reporting back to the psychologist that their husbands, and I quote, had a better disposition, aka their husbands weren't as fucking grumpy all the time. You can literally go back and read the articles. We'll read one right now. Headline: air conditioning.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. I know I get grouchy when it's hot.
In Austin, Texas, the air-conditioned village startled a team of psychologists and researchers by asserting
being comfortable is important, guys. It's important to your mental health too.
Under the influence of air conditioning. Okay, when you're not hot, you're not grumpy. Fucking shocking, I know. Oddly enough, statistical data collected by these researchers indicated that indoor conditions within these homes could be conducive.
Exactly, the neck rings in Africa and the shoes in China. I was referring to both of those specifically.
Like, well, the housewives are saying their husbands are in the better mood, but them bitches are crazy. We can't trust them. We need empirical data to prove their opinion might be correct.
Beautiful. I know.
But even more strongly indicated is the likely possibility that the women themselves, as a result of enjoying the comforts of air conditioning, were able to look upon their spouses with a little more than usual benevolence. Okay, translation: mom and dad are both in a better mood because nobody's sweating their ass off all day. Obviously. Okay, just so we're all on the same page, if you're not picking up on a put down so far, air conditioning might be responsible for the entire film industry, TV as we know it today.
I still disagree.
It helps keep families together, and that's just scratching the surface on why it's the most important invention of the 20th century. Just to prove my point,
so this is a problem that I have with Fat Electrician. He makes very broad, sweeping statements about something because of a minute detail. Would the film industry be different? maybe. Would it have ceased altogether? Nah, I don't think so. And I think that enough time has passed that it would have gotten back on track. Yeah, I would say that the air conditioner boosted the film industry for a few years, but I do not think that it had a longer lasting impact on it. Without AC, they would have more on location shots than that may be true too. I'm going to be real with you guys. I kind of like some of those old movies that were done in the studio with the hand painted backgrounds. I was watching Shenandoah the other day. It's an old Civil War movie starring Jimmy Stewart. Really, really great movie if you like old Western movies. But you can tell obviously that the background is painted. But then you sit there and you realize the background is painted, hand painted, and I just think that's cool as shit. I just think that's really neat.
Completely blind. I had some guesses because I know a little bit about history, but I just went in blind and asked Google, what are the most important inventions of the 20th century? Let's see what they came up with. So coming in at number 1, we have the transistor, obviously extremely important, but the mass manufacturing of transistors isn't possible without air conditioning because in order to manufacture a transistor, you need purified air, humidity control, and temperature control, all of which are provided by air conditioning. So no air conditioning, no mass manufacturing of transistors. One more point. Coming in at number 2, the internet, okay? Internet also can't exist without AC because the internet is run off of a bunch of server farms, which also need to be in a climate-controlled environment. You ever been inside of a server room?
Okay,
Pretty
I
cold,
disagree with
pretty
this.
Purified air.
I disagree with this, okay? It does make it a lot easier. But you can naturally climate control a space if you put it underground. That's why we stored stuff in these salt mines, because it is in caves. Caves have extremely consistent conditions. You could put these facilities in these caves, in these mines that we don't use anymore, and it would stay cool enough for them to function. They could still exist even without AC.
Can't have it without air conditioning. Coming in at number 3, penicillin.
Yes, shout out.
Obviously,
Exactly.
incredibly important. The world's first
bunkers.
antibiotic saved tens, if not hundreds of millions of lives since it was invented. And you know what? Would it exist without air conditioning? Almost certainly. However, would you be able to mass manufacture it to the degree that we do today as safely as we do without air conditioning? Absolutely not. Number 4, mass production of automobiles.
You could.
That exist without
you
air
would just have
yes,
to
it could. However,
be more
if you look at where
strategic with the
most cars are
locationing of your
manufactured,
facilities.
Texas, Tennessee, Alabama, Mexico, none of those places would be able to crank out cars to the degree that they do without air conditioning because you would have workers dropping out from heat stroke. In fact, most of the major cities in America that are in a hotter climate, like, I don't know, Las Vegas, Phoenix, Dallas, Houston, Orlando, Atlanta, all of which would probably exist to some degree if it wasn't for air conditioning, but air conditioning
they all existed
allowed them
before
to grow
air
into
conditioning.
major
I don't know why they
metropolitan
wouldn't
areas. It's literally
stop
saying
existing
air conditioning
now.
made Phoenix possible. And last but not least, the airplane. Now, would the Wright brothers have strapped some wings to a bicycle, drove it off a cliff, and figured out how to fly? Absolutely. Is commercial flight without air conditioning as we know it today possible? Absolutely not. The inside of that cabin on that plane would be 400 degrees if it wasn't for air conditioning. So yes, air conditioning is the most important invention of the 20th century. Which raises a question, why the fuck don't the Europeans just use it?
Right. What did he say?
He said, how's his head? He only took him down because he couldn't see the view no more. What's he doing there?
And the answers to that question might be the most infuriating answers to a question I've ever gotten in my entire life. Answer number 1. Europeans don't need air conditioning because the climate isn't as hot as America. Now, setting aside the fact that that proves the initial point that America is hotter and we could survive a British heat wave, we'll just set that off to the side real quick. The Europeans say shit like, well, we wouldn't run them that often and we would only need them for like 1 month a year. Cool. Do you know how much shit I own that I don't need very often?
Okay, I want to make a point on this. If you're only going to run it for 1 month out of the year, then doesn't that kind of negate the entire climate concern? I mean, that argument could be used for either side. You only did it for 1 month. We're only running it for 1 month. So I don't like, that's a two-edged sword. That's a two-edged sword. Words. What the hell? I don't know. I don't know, chat. Like, I just feel like I don't know. I don't know about this one, guys.
Every car I've ever owned my entire life. I've never had to use it. I've still fucking got it just in case. If there was something that I only needed to use 30 days a year to make sure my balls weren't hot while I was trying to sleep, you best believe I'm gonna fucking own it. Oh, well, Europeans are tougher than you Americans. We'll just grit our teeth and bear it. Are you? Are you really? Because last I checked, 175,000 fucking people died from heat stroke because you're too fucking stupid to buy an air conditioner. Do you understand how insane that is? If there was any other event on the planet that killed 175,000 people, there would be memorials and statues commemorating what a tragedy
He's not wrong
this
there.
was. But because
He's not
it's
wrong
just you
there.
guys
It
being
is
like, well,
actually
the
insane.
Americans invented a machine that can domesticate wind, but we don't want to admit they're right. So we would rather let all our young and elderly die of heat stroke than give them the W. What are you doing? Okay, which leads right into the next argument, the most infuriating one, because I used to build shit for a living. Americans don't understand because our homes are actually built to retain heat, so an air conditioner wouldn't work as well for us. Motherfucker,
That is
that's just
absolutely
insulation.
false.
That's how insulation works, okay? Do you have a thermos? If you put hot tea or whatever stupid shit you guys drink in a thermos, you know how it stays hot? Now dump it out and put fucking ice water in it. The ice water stays cold, okay? Your house isn't specifically designed to be hot inside. It's designed to have a controlled temperature regardless of what's going on outside. So if you buy an air conditioner and you cool off the house, it stays fucking cool. Well, air conditioning's really expensive. No, it isn't. You can buy a window unit for $169 to cool off the room that you sleep in or your living room or whatever, okay? The average minimum wage of Europe is $8.33 American. That's 20 hours of the most unskilled labor that you have available in exchange for a magic box that domesticates the fucking wind so you don't have to sweat your balls off. Okay, that is a modern miracle, and you're saying that that's too expensive? I would pay an outrageous amount of money to see a British person
V,
go
what's
back
up?
in time and
This
talk
guy
to
made
one of
chat
their ancestors, some
convinced me
medieval
to
peasant
make
picking turnips
add the
outside of a
suggest
castle
art
and
incentive,
explain
and then I
to them
freaking hit
that
the
in the
goal.
future
Goddamn
there's
it.
a magical box that can make the house cold when it's hot outside.
Your streamer
and
is
in
evil,
exchange
chat.
for that, all they had to do was work
Peer pressure,
20
peer pressure,
hours, and they could
peer
cool off
pressure,
their
peer
house
pressure,
for years
peer
upon
pressure,
years to come,
peer
and then
pressure.
explain to them with deadpan stare, but I don't do it because it's expensive.
Are you pulling my leg?
Motherfucker, it's literally
We get to see
magic to
Helvey.
these people.
We
You
get to
have
see
the
Helvey
opportunity
not
to
flat.
buy climate-changing magic for 20 hours of your time.
Iron
You're just
Wolf,
like,
hi, welcome
nah,
in.
I'd rather let grandma and grandpa die from heat stroke. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm slowly coming around to the idea that this is actually a conspiracy by the European governments to slowly kill off old people so they don't break their universal healthcare system. There's no other logical explanation for why you would be anti-air conditioning. And apparently one of the big talking points is, oh, well, air conditioning is actually bad for climate change, so it's only making the problem worse. And then the climate activists get on CNN or the BBC or whatever, and they're giving interviews offering alternatives to air conditioning that you could do. I'm gonna show you, because if I didn't show you the interview, you wouldn't believe me. Their solutions get progressively worse, but we're gonna go ahead and start off with their best solution. Solution number one.
If it gets really hot, I sleep under a wet sheet. That's my other technique.
How about no?
With a big bucket of water under the desk with my feet in the bucket of water.
Option number two, soak your feet in a bucket of water while you're sitting at home all day long. Also, no. B, I know your house fucking stinks. It smells like wet feet and BO
Okay,
because you're
not
not
to
wearing
mention-
deodorant and
Nishi3
you
Cho
don't have air
says, at gore underscore of underscore for I cannot believe this audacity.
I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, what possibly could go wrong? Soaking your feet in a bucket of water all day, like having your feet submerged in water all day, multiple days for a month straight. What could possibly go wrong? Like I can't think of anything that could possibly go wrong having a body part submerged in water for hours at a time every single day. Gangrene, trench rot or trench foot, other things. I mean, I can't sit in the shower for 30 minutes without pruning up. You know? Like, you really shouldn't be in the water that long. It's really bad for you. You turn into a mermaid. Yeah, okay, okay. Yeah, all right. I could see that. I could see that. I've seen Splash. She gets in the bathtub and grows a tail. Yeah. 30-minute shower is my normal amount of time. What are you doing in the shower for 30 minutes? Like, no shade. Whatever you're the one paying the water bill. I don't care. I'm just curious how it takes 30 minutes. Wait, sitting in the water long what? Submerging your body in water for long periods of time is bad for you. No water bill on well water. Okay, all right, fair, fair. Like even when I am not in any rush to get out, I can't stay in the shower for longer than 20 minutes. I can't. My skin gets all shrivelly and I get bored and yeah. And I practice streaming in the shower. I give speeches of stuff that I want to talk to you guys about while I'm in the shower. I'm sure my neighbors love that, but and I can't. I just personally can't. 20 minutes and that's about all I can do. Yeah, 5 or 10 is more normal for me. 15 if you know what, I'm not going to say that. All right, let's watch the video, guys.
Conditioning, and I know you're sitting in the house sweating your ass off 24/7. No, I'm not doing it. And option number 3, I can't believe this is real.
Including, would you believe it, painting windows with yogurt.
I just how are you this
My
Your solution,
sentiments
rather
as
than
well.
just admitting the Americans are onto something with this air conditioning shit.
Did she
is to
say
smear
Did she say painting windows with yogurt? Is that what she said? Hold on.
Painting windows with yogurt.
That is what she said, right?
I just how are you this Your solution, rather than just admitting the Americans are onto something with this air.
Okay. All right, let's do some quick math. How big would I say the windows are? My windows are pretty big. Let's say your windows does it take to paint 1 square foot? Okay, so it takes 1 gallon paints 350 square feet. So my windows, best guess, my windows in my bedroom are probably almost 40 square feet. Almost 40 square feet. That's about 5 by 8, give or take. Oh, probably not 5 by 8. Probably more like 5 by 6 or 7. I don't know. They're pretty tall. They're taller than I am. So 35, 40. So 35, that'd be 10 windows per gallon. How much does 1 gallon of yogurt cost? $9 to $18. All right, so let's say that you're using about a gallon of yogurt, which is not paint. It's going to take more yogurt to cover your window than it would take paint. But let's say that you're spending $9 to $18 a day on yogurt for your windows. $9 to $18 a day. All right, so we'll say $9 a day times 30 days. $270. $270 in yogurt. How much did he say the air conditioner unit cost? 170 bucks. The jokes write themselves, chat. The jokes write themselves.
air conditioning shit is to smear yogurt on your fucking windows. You want to make window cheese rather than just turn on an air conditioner.
Not to
How do
mention
you
the
not see
smell.
how fucking insane that sounds. Like, one of your
Like,
biggest talking points is air
could you
conditioning is
imagine
expensive.
your
How
windows
expensive is
would
it to
smell
smear a new layer
like
of
rotten
yogurt
milk
on all the windows on your house
all the
and then
time?
have your house smell like curdled milk and still be hot
That's
as
what I
shit?
just said.
I can't even begin to fathom the amount of desperation and misery the person that figured this out was experiencing. Do you know how fucking hot and sweaty and delirious you have to be sitting at home in your living room on the couch for you to finally
I swear to
go,
God, there are some people who will go it's just insane lengths for no point. Like, to win an argument, you're spending twice as much money. Your house is going to smell like dick cheese, and you're wasting yogurt. I mean, that's kind of a here or there if you don't like yogurt anyway, but and yogurt like means different things in different places. This is probably like real yogurt, guys, not the Yoplait stuff with the fruity flavors that most of us are used to. So that stuff stinks already, like even when it's fresh. Could you imagine it sitting out in the heat all day on your windows, getting baked by the sun? And you're spending twice as much on this than it would cost to buy a fucking window unit. Harness the power of the wind, magical box, all of the things that he called it, and not sweat your balls off. And it works better. Let's see what TFE has to say about this.
I got to do something. I'm going to try smearing yogurt on my windows.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. I just
Perfect clip.
threw up
Perfect.
a little bit.
Like, what are you doing?
I just
get
threw up in
an
my
air
mouth a little
conditioner,
bit.
For the love of God. Oh my God. At this point,
Night
I'm convinced
Text, thanks
that
for
air
hanging out.
conditioning could prevent World War III if you guys would just do it. No wonder you guys are always starting world wars and dragging us into it. You're all
Go lay down.
fucking grumpy and hot
Go lay down.
24/7.
You're all right.
Get some AC
Go lay down. No, you
and come
cannot
up
be
with
up
a
my butt
peace
right now.
treaty. I don't ever
Sorry,
want to hear
guys.
European talk
Apollo's
shit about America being dumb ever again. They always love to bring up like, oh,
being a
America has
pest
a
at
bunch
the
of gun
moment.
violence, blah, 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 blah. Cool. More people are dying because you refuse to use air conditioning than Americans are dying from gun violence, all right? And by a lot. It's not even close. Europe is losing 175,000 people a year. To put that into perspective, America had roughly 60,000 people die in the Vietnam War. How do you not see how insane that is? Air conditioning at this point is like the cheapest,
year?
most cost-effective, life-saving technology on the planet, and you're just like, nah, I don't want it. And the most beautiful part about all this is I know for a fact there's going to be a ton of keyboard warriors with a bunch of stupid talking points and smug comments in the comment sections, and this is going to get clipped and put on Twitter and Instagram and all these other places, and there's going to be all these comments, and you know what? None of those comments would be possible without air conditioning, because without air conditioning, the internet that you're using wouldn't function and the phone you're holding in your hand wouldn't have been able to get manufactured. You are proving my point that air conditioning is the most important invention of the 21st century, and if you don't have some, you should get some, and that's all I gotta say about that. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch.
Shadow Sparta
Maybe drink some
says
Echelon.
they
Links
lose
to both of those available over at
175,000 people
fatelectrician.com.
annually.
Clack bang out.
I see that. That's actually insane. Guys, I know he touched on this, but there are 58,000 names on the Vietnam War Memorial. The Vietnam War lasted like 15 years, 20 years almost. That's a third of the people killed in the Vietnam War, a third of the number of people killed every year from being heat casualties in their own homes. That's actually insane. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely, Echo. There are ways to survive without it. I mean, Afghanistan doesn't have AC. None of them have AC. And they are not dropping like flies from the heat. Granted, they don't live particularly long anyway, but I know that it's mostly the elderly and the very young who are not able to tolerate the heat as much, who are dying from it. And there really aren't that many elderly in Afghanistan, but you can. There are ways to survive without it, but why? You know. But it's only a month. Okay, if it's only a month, 175,000 people in a month. I know they said annually, but their hot season is a month long. So most of those deaths are happening within a 30-day window. What is that, like 6,000 people a day? Something like that? I don't know. I can't math, but that sounds right. Yeah, 6,000 people a day. A day, chat. In a single day during the summer in Europe, more people die than the entire war in Afghanistan. A single day, more people die from the heat than the entire Afghan war. Okay, let me rephrase that because that is incredibly inaccurate. American and allied forces only. That's not counting Taliban fighters or anything like that. That's specifically our forces. Because we don't even know how many Afghans were killed by us during the war. There's no way to know exactly how many. And the estimates are very varied, for lack of a better word. I know that sounds kind of silly, but yeah, they don't have any idea. Insert the bring out your dead clip. He says he's not dead yet. I'm feeling better. I want to go for a walk. I wonder if their current electric grids can handle it, though. I don't know. I don't know anything about their infrastructure. Make sure you guys go check out the Fat Electrician if you haven't already. Like and subscribe to him. He puts out a lot of really good content like this. Hi guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for watching this video with me and reacting to it with me. I don't usually do reaction content. This is actually my first time doing reaction content. So if you'd like to see more contents like this, make sure you let me know in the comments down below, and I will see about maybe finding some more videos to react to in the future. If you haven't already, please consider liking and subscribing. It really does help me out a whole lot. And hopefully we will see you again soon. Before I let you go, of course, as always, a quick safety brief. Don't add to the population. Don't subtract from the population. Don't drink and drive. Don't go anywhere without a battle buddy. Always wrap your willy. Have a wonderful night, day, whatever it is, wherever you are. I will catch you guys in the next one. But until then, fair winds and a following sea.